So welcome to our Make Monday Magic Again call. Today is September 27th. And this morning, really early this morning, Eastern time, yesterday, Pacific time, we entered Mercury retrograde period, which I do want to chat a little bit about today because it is heavily informing how I am moving forward with my tasks this week and what I'm choosing to focus on the next 3 weeks, because the planet will be retrograde for the next 3 weeks. And if you're like, what does that mean? I'll speak briefly about it, but I did an Instagram post today, and I also have a blog post about it. So I'll direct you there or link that. Because here I want to focus on how you might want to take this information into account as you're planning out your weeks. But before we go ahead and do that, let's just take a moment to come into this space together, whether you're joining live or you're tuning into this call, this replay at a later time, a later date. If you can close your eyes and taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. 2 more like that. Inhale and exhale. Another full breath in. Another full breath out. Just letting anything that feels like a distraction fade to the background. Even if you are tuning into this conversation from a more distracted place, letting that distraction fade to the background and asking your intuition, your higher self, to step forward to help you focus on and get clear on the tasks that are most important for you this week. The areas of your life and your business that are most important for you to reevaluate during this Mercury retrograde. And similarly, I asked to set aside any of my own distractions to show up from a place of my higher self and to bring forward the insights and the downloads that are for your highest and best good, so that we can co-create from this more intuitive, more aligned place. Take another full breath in and another full breath out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. So again, welcome. Mercury retrograde, in the most basic of terms, is a period of review. Whenever a planet goes retrograde, its energy is turned inward. So instead of a normal, like business as usual, function as usual, that information or that energy goes in. Mercury is our planet of communication, of technology, of travel, of contracts. And so Mercury retrograde gets a bad rep because it's often when these things aren't functioning in the way that we need them to for our forward-focused lives, for our forward-focused businesses. But the planet still does have a gift to bring us, even in this inward-focused energy. And so this period is an opportunity, if you can take it in whatever way possible for you, to do all of the things that start with the re. So review, reflect, reevaluate, refocus, revisit, rekindle. And if you want to take this a step further, if you're into astrology and you know how to look at your birth chart, you can see where this Mercury retrograde period that we're in currently is in Libra. So wherever Libra is in your chart, or where Libra has an influence in your chart, that area is probably going to get highlighted during this Mercury retrograde. And I think we talked about this a little bit last week. But I wanted to share with y'all what I'm going to be doing from a business perspective during this period, in case it might be helpful for you or provide some inspiration, a permission that it doesn't all have to be forward moving. yes, we can't all just stop our lives and, maybe do nothing during this time. I don't think that's the point. But if we can choose to lean into this energy of reflection, review, we can come out the other side not feeling like we've just been like running up against a wall, right? We can feel like the wind is with us, the tide is with us, the astrological current is with us. And this Mercury retrograde too is a powerful one for healing to occur. And so if you can take this opportunity again to reflect, to review in whatever way feels appropriate for you, feels most helpful for you, not only will you come out the other side probably with more clarity, more focus, not feeling like you just like wasted a bunch of time and energy, there may be a piece of you that's healed. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to put a pause on my newsletter for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to send one email today sharing why and sharing a little bit of the information that I've shared here today about the Mercury retrograde, and put a pause on that and instead be focusing on over the last 2 weeks, it's come to my attention that there's some big structure changes and way that I'm using my energy within my business that needs to change. And so that's my intention with this Mercury retrograde, is to wrap up all sorts of like little loose ends or projects that are works in progress, follow through on the things I've already committed to. I'm teaching a series of classes. One started last week and through the retrograde, which are a bit of review, and that was planned in that way. So focus on that, but then also ask for more understanding on what this next phase of my business and how I do my work and how I communicate, because again, that's what Mercury does. It's the communicator, it's the microphone, how I communicate that. So you can use this phrase as well. Like if maybe you don't have a specific action item that you're working on or a specific project that you want to review. Maybe you do, but I got this prompt from Chani Nicholas, who you guys know, I've listened to her podcast, love her app. She said, the prompt is, this Mercury retrograde, I'm hoping to understand. And I think, and ... you fill in the blank. So you can I'm hoping to understand this relationship better. I'm hoping to understand this project better. And you can set that intention at the beginning and ask to receive guidance around it. So pausing the newsletter, doing these workshops. We had the birth chart workshop last week. Oh, Mercury retrograde. Doing a human design series, which starts this Friday. And those are review. Like I've taught those classes before. I'm teaching them again in a new way. And also revisiting the retreat that I'm hosting. So carrying through on the tasks there. So I hope that this little insight is helpful for you. Again, perhaps you take something new off of your list, and instead this allows you permission to focus on something that's already been percolating or stirring or in your pot, or even just to take more time for that self-reflection over these next 3 weeks. Mercury retrograde ends on October 18th. But even once it ends, we still have what's called a shadow period. So we might feel a little bit of that energy for a few weeks even after that. Practical items for this period: double check your communications, double check your texts, double confirm your travel. Erica messaged me last week. She was like, you won't believe this. We don't have a flight for Cody, who is her fiance. They went to Mexico this weekend. These are the sort of things that are normal for Mercury retrograde. So just double check anything with communication, contracts, travel, technology. And of course, with everything, breathe, because there's always going to be these little slip ups, whether it's we can blame it on Mercury retrograde or not. So with that, let's go ahead and get into our weekly setup where you can brain dump your tasks, doing whatever you need to do in order to get everything down. I'll give us like 8-9 minutes or so. I'm not going to put on music. If you want to put on music, I'll mute myself. This is your opportunity to get everything out of your head and onto your paper or into your notebook or into your notes of what you want and need to do this week, perhaps with the new lens of knowing about Mercury retrograde. So we'll hop back on here in just a few minutes if anybody wants to share their big rocks, their priority items, or has any insights or questions. Did you guys hear my music the whole time? Okay, I didn't remember if I muted it. How are we doing? I thought I muted it and then I saw it wasn't muted. Do we need a few more minutes? Are folks good? I see one shake of the head. We're good. A thumbs up. Awesome. Would anyone like to share an insight or a priority item for the week ahead? Definitely not a requirement, but on offer if you'd like.
I'll share an insight because I think you'll really appreciate this. So for those here who don't know me, my name's Courtney, obviously. I just quit my job last week. And so today was like my first Monday that I'm not going to work. And so I had this like really, really interesting moment that was like super vivid. This morning, my toddler woke up kind of early. She's been teething. And so I was like half asleep and I went and got her and I was bringing her into the room and like everything was still all dark. And I'm like holding her and trying to shut the door and deal with the dogs and all of this. And I'm like, what day is it? What time is it? Like, where am I located? That kind of feeling. And I'm like, oh, it's Monday. And then I immediately was like, oh, like Monday looks so different for me now. Like, I'm excited it's Monday. And I've like kind of felt that way all day, all morning. And like, even when we were coming into this right now, Emily, like you were like, oh, getting rid of all the distractions. I'm like, yes, there's distractions, but like I don't feel as stretched. Like I feel so much more focused, which is really interesting that that's coming at a time with Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to have to I feel a lot more like I'm wanting to put myself out there and communicate a lot more, but I also want to use that as a time to I guess double check it, I think is the message that's coming through. Like, yes, put myself out there, but take the extra moment to ensure what I'm sending out is correct. So yeah. That's what I have.
Amazing. I love that. And again, like huge kudos, congrats, mazel tov to you. And what a beautiful testament of you taking your correct step already by feeling like I don't feel that Monday or Sunday anxiety. Like, yeah, there's still a lot going on and things I don't know, but here I am. I get to choose. I'm going to pull a card for us. And this actually came to me in my meditation this morning and I didn't do it, but I think it's supposed to happen here. If anybody else has anything they want to share, please feel free.
Emily, I think the reminder of rechecking communication is so important. I just got an email that's reflecting a lot of misinformation And so it's just a great reminder, rather than me getting upset at the person who sent the misinformation, like taking a breath, remembering that we're all in this wild retrograde time and not, just not making a deal out of it.
Yeah.
Is good to remember.
And that's beautiful. And I'm glad you brought that up, because like, it's not to say Mercury retrograde is an excuse for us to be sloppy or like, oh, it's done Mercury retrograde, but it is an opportunity for us to show more compassion because really the Mercury retrograde isn't necessarily about mistakes. It's about wires getting crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that person, maybe when they wrote it, they thought it was correct, and maybe if they had reread it another time or with a new perspective, they would have seen something different. But it's really about like just not talking like we're like this is what I'm doing, like we're not talking to each other, we're like crossing, which is funny. So I pulled this card, the fault line. Oh, the phone is ringing. No worries. It's very Mercury. Let's see what the fault line is. This is from Kim Krantz archetype deck. Love this deck. And if you're interested in tarot, I know some folks will already be there, but we have a tarot happy hour this week on Thursday evening. Okay, the fault line, the fissure, the crack, the weak link. Imagine walking across a frozen lake that begins to crack before your eyes. No matter how optimistic and brave you might be, panic ensues. You become fearful and tense and long for stable ground. Such is the energy of the fault line. It's the energy of walking on eggshells, of precarious dynamics, of sensing what is ready to break open into chaos. It's likely that this cracking open is long overdue, as fault lines develop slowly and naturally from underlying elemental pressures. This card comes as a warning to not deny the shakiness that's afoot, or the confusion that could be afoot. It's much better to prepare yourself for change than to walk along the fault line pretending all is well. There is no easy fix for the situation at hand. It will require a foundational shift that alters current dynamics from the ground up. Now, this is one more interesting thing about this Mercury retrograde is it's in Libra, which Sally said, oh my God, did you pick it for me? No, I picked it for me. I'm like, I feel seen. I feel like a little exposed, but it was for all of us, obviously. This Mercury retrograde is in Libra, and Libra is all about balance and partnership and dynamics. And sometimes we do need that cracking open, or sometimes there's something that's we felt. And a Mercury retrograde, especially the more astrology that's happening this week, is there's a square to Pluto, and that just means like stuff is coming up. And so I think that this card comes up as a powerful reminder of not just to go slow and double check communication, but like some shit might hit the fan and you are capable of handling it. Your spirit would not have sent you on this path in this lifetime if you weren't. That doesn't mean there might not be pain or tears or frustration or loss. But ultimately, like, this is our journey and this is part of the journey. So again, I think that this just solidifies the message that whatever comes up, even if it feels like a huge, crack or making this huge, like that it's something is opening up into chaos, breaking open into chaos, this cracking open is long overdue. And I will add to that it's necessary in order for the next level of stability and balance to come through. So wherever you are in your journey, however you're feeling this retrograde, because we all feel it differently, if you resonate with this card or not, I hope that you know that you have everything within you in order to navigate whatever comes up. And if you don't feel that way, you can always reach out for support. You are supported, by people in your lives, by teachers, by mentors, by spirits, by guides. You are supported, and it's very okay to ask for help, especially during this time. So thank you, friends, for being here. I definitely feel like I have a lot to think about with this one, but also just affirms this choice to go a little more slowly this month, even though there is that like fall energy of fresh start, new things, to take things a little bit more slowly. And I get clear on the foundations that we're building from before we start to build. Yeah. So I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your Monday, a beautiful rest of your week, a healing and insightful Mercury retrograde. We'll be back here next Monday at noon. And y'all know where to find me on the internet. I will see you all soon.